Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video. So this is a page that goes through quite a transition and I thought I would share it with you. It isn't one of my finest journal pages, but I thought it might be interesting for you to see that sometimes it doesn't go to plan and that just persevering and trying out different things, you can end up with a journal page or a page in your journal that you end up being reasonably happy with. And as I often say, some of it is more about the actual process of getting creative in your journal space, whatever that is. The process of doing that, moving your hand, as Dina would say, and just letting loose and enjoying that. So I often start with an idea of what I want to do. Like I have something I want to journal about, or I have a quote that I found that I want to journal about. This time I decided I wanted to play with these new scribble sticks. So this was new to me, not brand new scribble sticks. This is the third set, which has got the metallic ones in. So that's why I've gone in with some black gesso. Not quite to the edges of my page, and then I've used my dotty stamp and I've just stamped that around the edge as well. So then I'm using the metallic scribble sticks. I thought they would work quite well on black gesso. So I'm doing the same thing where you go in, press really, really hard, lay down lots of pigment. You will have seen me do the similar thing with a rainbow page where I used scribble sticks. And I kind of thought this would work the same. So I started off laying down lots and lots of colours with the metallic scribble sticks and thought, yeah, this is going to be great. This will be like a little bit different, but should still work. So, but it really didn't go how I thought it would. So then I'm going in with the round brush and a bit of water, and I thought I'll just move the pigment around and just activate it and see if I can just soften some of those messy lines. And it was working okay. But I was beginning to think, it's not quite what I thought it would be. But I was carrying on anyway. So just activating those pigments and moving them around. And I was beginning to think, I don't really like this. This isn't quite what I thought. It's not quite how I thought it would be. Then I went in with too much water. Oh my. I decided I would just mop a bit of it up and it started lifting the pigment off completely. So then I thought, because I'd done that, I thought, right, well, I'll get a stencil and I will lift some of the pigment through the stencil. Yeah, okay, so that works all right. But then I was thinking, okay, so that isn't what I set out to do. So I decided I would just go in and draw some blobs on my page. So I dried it and then drew some blobs because I was just like, oh my days, this is really not what I thought would happen. So going in with some blobs, and then I was like, okay, let's try lifting that through the stencil as well. You can see actually, like, I kind of got into a point where I was just floundering a bit, didn't really know where to go with it next and what to do. So I thought I'll lift a bit of the pigment through, and then I was like, right, so I'm just going to lift it all through the stencil. Oh my days, look at that. Awful. So the baby white was too wet. So then I decided I would use one of the postcards from Darkroom Door with this flower on it, and ripped it in half. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to go in with this stencil, cover stencil. No, it's not cover, is it? I can't remember what it's called. I will find out for you. And I used some metallic paint through the stencil and then popped the image back on my page. Decided I wanted to make it a bit smaller around the edges. Then I was trying to work out where I was going to put the little tear going through the centre of the page. So I've ripped out the flower part. Yeah, quite like that. And I'm using my double-sided tape gun to stick that in place. So my background went nothing like I thought it would do at all, completely different. And so that was why I kind of went down the monochromatic theme by grabbing this postcard from Darkroom Door. And I think it's quite striking, it's quite a bold, striking image. So it works quite well on that background that I've created, which was unintentional. But I thought it might be valuable for you guys to see that this sometimes happens to me. Like, I sit down, desperate to do some creating, and it really just doesn't go to plan at all. And sometimes I find it really frustrating. And sometimes I can just work through it and get to a point where I think, actually, this is okay. So then what I've done here is I've just used the edge that I tore off the flower, and I've stuck that on the edge of my journal page. So I've kind of just distressed that postcard really and just stretched it out, I guess, so that it fits into my page. So now you can see there isn't much background left at all. So then in that black space on the postcard, I am writing my words. So the reason I'm kind of going with this quote here is this page was a response to something that had happened during the day. And so I had this need to get to journal it out. And that's one of the reasons, as I've said so many times, why I do art journaling is releasing that stuff from inside my head and kind of sharing it with my journal, really. You notice I was able to rub that mistake away there because the pen wasn't dry and the surface of the postcard is shiny, so I was able to do that. I did have to dry it before I could go back in with my pen though. So I was starting to feel a little bit happier, like this was coming together now. It was a bit more how I wanted it to be. So now I'm using my dotty stamp and I'm going in with some white acrylic paint. So I'm building up that contrast with the black and the white that's already there. I'm just adding those dots around the edge a little bit. So you'll notice now it looks completely different to how it started out with that disastrous background. There's not a lot of stenciling on there really, just that the dotty stencil and those scribble sticks, the metallic scribble sticks. So now I'm just going into my tiny tin of little scraps of pink and purple collage fodder. I'm just finding some that I can cut some little tiny hearts out of to stick on my page as well. I'm selecting a piece that I kind of like the colours in. And I'm going to cut some hearts out and stick them down the side of the page as a little splash of colour and a bit of contrast with the black and white. So I hope you found it useful to see how I worked through this, because I did actually want to just throw my book across the room at one point. I was like, oh my gosh, this is really not what I wanted. This is not helping. I'm actually feeling more stressed. But just sticking with it and working through was a really useful process, because at the end of it, I still had the opportunity to journal out what was in my head. And I'd created a page that actually was quite useful, because the process of working through was quite a useful one. And I really hope that you found that useful as well. So that was how the page kind of grew. Like I said, the postcards are from Darkroom Door. Yeah, so in a way, quite a simple background, really. I just made it look difficult. So, yeah, I'm just adding a couple more hearts on. So I'm still going with that odd number of hearts. And then I'm just doing a little bit of aceramic writing down the side. So this is journaling. It's not really visible, but I know it's there. And you know, when you get up close to the book, you can see that it's there, and it just adds a little bit more interest into that space between the flower and the edge of the page. And there we go. That's the finished page. So working through a journal page that didn't really go to plan. I hope you've enjoyed watching this and you found it inspiring. yeah, it just shows sometimes you just need to work through and you can achieve what you wanted to. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.